Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, and welcome to another episode of Finalysis. I'm Callan, this is Evan.
Hey everybody.
And today we're going to be covering Spider-Man No Way Home. Going to be opening up with a quick spoiler-free section to make sure we don't include any ruinous details for those who might not have yet seen the film. And then we're going to be moving on from that to the overall Finalysis, covering everything from characters to plot details to thematic choices, etc., all the good stuff. But yeah, for now, starting off with the quick spoiler-free section, general thoughts on this film, Evan.
Well, I'm just going to come out right and say it is this, out of all the MCU films to come out this year, is by far and away the one I enjoyed the most. Well, I didn't hate Black Widow. It didn't really stick with me much after I left the theater, and I didn't even see Eternals, but from what I've heard, it really doesn't leave much impact either. To me, if you're a Spider-Man fan, this is a fantastic celebration of the character. And while it is a little bit formulaic in certain parts, like all MCU films are, it is ultimately an enjoyable experience and a great celebration of the character's history, both thematic and cultural.
Agreed on all points. I absolutely love this film. As always, it's a Marvel film. You have to go in with it or into it with the caveat of it not really expecting to be high art. I do, look forward to the time they do show us that.
You're saying this film won't win an Oscar?
I do look forward to the time when that does happen at some point, if they elevate themselves to that stage. And of course, it has to be noted that it's not like an excuse. They can't just get away with making a bad film. But at the same time, there are certain degrees of expectations levied against the Marvel style. So you go in expecting a popcorn film with extra emotional and thematic oomph behind it, not just it's not Sharknado by any stretch, but you're not also expecting like the greatest emotional drama of your life. There are expectations that these films have. Having said that, my expectations were exceeded. This film, not only is a Marvel event film, which of course it is, has an additional layer to it in the form of a heaping dollop of legacy. So this is a film that's going to be diving into stories, the current story for the current Spider-Man, but also touching on material from the previous works and just the celebration of Spider-Man as a whole. And I think, not so much too surprisingly, but it exceeded my expectations more than I expected it to. Obviously,
it exceeded your expectations.
Yeah, it exceeded really? My exceeded expectations. But I overall thought it was fantastic and loved it. And I think more than anything else, it's a film that any Spider-Man fan should be watching. It's just the easiest tagline for that you can give it is just, if you like Spider-Man, go watch this film. It's a good one.
If you're a Spider-Man fan in any form, because it's not just the cinematic universe that this pulls ideas from. We're talking about things from cartoons, comics, the whole nine yards. So again, even if you have just a partial interest, I feel like you owe it to yourself as a Spider-Man fan to check this out. Now, whether it's the best Spider-Man film ever made, well, we'll get more into that in the next video. I think everyone's going to be having varying opinions on that, because ranking Spider-Man films seems to be something that no one really seems to come to any consensus on, no matter who you are.
Yeah, this I would say, with a possible exception of one other, and again we'll get to that, is my favorite. Yeah. So it's at least on par, if not technically superior to some of the others. So we'll talk about that.
It is without question the best MCU-based Spider-Man film, without question. Again,
no question.
Yeah, and this is. Yeah, and I actually really enjoyed the last two, but again, this just does so much that those other two either didn't touch on at all, or in my opinion, did poorly. So pretty much, everything's been kind of ironed out and refined to a point where I think they've really found their stride with the Spider-Man character, because to me, in the MCU especially, it kind of feels like they weren't really sure what to do with them at first, but I finally feel like they have a good path to go on, and I'm really curious to see where they go in the future with this.
Agreed on all points. Yeah, they've laid the good groundworks for the future story moving forward, and respected that of what's come before, both in the MCU and without. So, yeah, those I think are a pretty good summary of our overall thoughts on this. So, moving on from this, we'll now be going into spoiler territory. For those who haven't seen the film yet, please jump ship now, go watch it, and return for the rest of our content.
You won't regret it.
You will not.